Vancouver Island's eastern coastline. An incredible sheltered waterway from Georgia Strait to Discovery Passage. Ancient fossils revealing prehistoric life.
Paleontologists began to realize what a treasure trove we have here.
Black bear habitats at risk and those fighting to save them.
Always a direct link between a human action and why the bears are with us.
And one of the largest man-made explosions in history.
It took 70 feet off the North Pinnacle.
Now, we reveal the coastlines like never before, unlocking the secrets of our maritime past, present, and future. Canada, over the edge. On the eastern coastline of Vancouver Island, Entrance Island Lighthouse marks the entrance to Nanaimo Harbour. Nanaimo is home to more than 80,000 people. Located north of BC's capital, Victoria, and west of Vancouver. Across the waters of Georgia Strait. It is the transportation hub for the region. Ferries operating out of Departure Bay connect eastern Vancouver Island with the city of Vancouver. High above, float planes come and go along this bustling waterway. Offshore, jagged islands line the coast. This is the body of water known as Georgia Strait. A spectacular 240-kilometer waterway separating Vancouver Island from the mainland. "25 kilometers to the north lies the town of Parksville. favorite destination for tourism and offshore recreation. Not far away, in Arrington, a crucial operation is underway. The North Island Wildlife Recovery Center is dedicated to the rehabilitation of the island's wildlife. A bold mandate in a region where human development continues to expand into the traditional habitats of the island's bird and black bear population.
Today you're at the North Island Wildlife Recovery Center, just on the east side of Vancouver Island, and we're just approximately about 10 minutes from Parksville. It's a beautiful village called Arrington. Here we do wildlife rehabilitation and education of the public about wildlife issues. So our mandate really is to care for ill, injured, and orphaned wildlife. When we first started here, there absolutely was nothing on this piece of land except a few little buildings. And so the vision was to create a world-class wildlife rehabilitation center and to deal with mostly bears and raptors. And I think we've achieved that.
So the raptor program, we deal with the native, the bald eagles, sometimes golden eagles, variety of species of owls, hawks, falcons. So a lot of times they're injured on roadways. We see wing injuries, starving animals or animals that lost their habitat. So they're brought to us and raised over a number of months depending on the injuries that they have. We're really known for our bald eagle flight enclosure as well, that is one of the largest in North America. So some of the smaller rehab centers actually will send bald eagles to us kind of as a graduation pen where they can really fly and build up their flight muscles, and we can watch them before releasing them back into the wild. We also have our resident black bear, Canute, who's 16 years old and has lived at the center for his entire life. He was raised here and really helped teaching us what bears need in food and in space and in their hibernation needs, so he was a key role in building the rehab program. Now we're going to go into our black bear rehabilitation center. So we've got 3 cubs that are between about 7 and 8 months old in there right now that all came to us earlier this summer. So we're going to go in and just see what they're doing at the moment. They're in their outdoor browse area where they've got free-flowing water and vegetation, and we hide food for them. So the 3 of them, it's 2 twins and 1 single, but they've all become good friends. And at this time of the year, they're very social when they're cubs, so it's been great for us to have multiples because they teach each other bear things. So we don't talk much when we're in with the cubs, and they'll want to move away from us, but we can see what they're doing. Well, I'll let you 2 go in, and then we got to close up the doors and lock them up behind us so that nobody escapes. So this is the area that's all monitored by closed surveillance TVs. We're generally not in with the bears, and you'll hear the nature sounds that are piped in here to mask any sound that the bears might hear of people or the public or exterior sounds. Get them used to natural sounds. They've just run through the sliding door there to where they've got a couple of big water tubs and some hanging toys. Here, there's one. Check you out. That's Buster. That was our first admittance this spring. Just found alone, wandering by himself with no sign of mom. That looks like one of the twins that we have that we got in July, whose mom was hit and killed on the island highway. So they were all trapped by conservation officers. So the 3 cubs that we have now will spend almost another year here with us. They're growing really well and we're monitoring their health. We're gonna have our veterinarian come in shortly and we'll ear tag them so we can identify each one of them and check their health status with blood and hair samples. Then they'll spend the winter with us, and we do have a dark room that we can put infrared cameras on so they have a chance to hibernate if the weather sort of pushes them that way. And then they'll pack on a bunch of weight next spring, and about this time next year they should all be released back out into the wild. It's sort of a dream come true to work here. You never know what's going to come through the door, what type of animal, and to see, especially the ones that we raise from babies, to see them get another chance, or those ones that have been impacted by humans. It's nice to be able to sort of rectify that and give them another chance to be wild again. So it's a really enjoyable and really sort of satisfying job to have.
Northwest of Nanaimo, the gentle contours of the BC coast lead to the town of Qualicum Beach. And uninhabited stretches of natural beauty. Offshore, Chrome Island Light Station stands 55 feet tall. It was first lit New Year's Day 1891 to guide turn-of-the-century mariners along one of North America's most important waterways. Built at the entrance to Bain Sound, Chrome Island is the gateway to Georgia Strait's offshore gems, Hornby and Denman Island. Denman Island measures 50 square kilometers, comparable in size and shape to Manhattan. But sparsely populated. Shrouded in dense Douglas fir. Connected to the mainland via ferry at Buckley Bay, a second ferry continues on to Hornby Island. Hornby is smaller, boasting a beautiful barren perimeter. Exposed to the open waters beyond. Home to just under 1,000 permanent residents, the population quadruples in the summer. But its most famous feature may lie in these sandy and gravelly shorelines. From Qualicum Beach to Hornby Island, the region is quickly becoming known as one of the world's great undiscovered fossil beds.
Right now I'm standing on what is known as Qualicum Beach. Qualicum Beach is located about mid-island on the east coast of Vancouver Island. This is fossil collector's paradise. Geologists have been exploring Vancouver Island for more than 100 years, but the geologists in the past have been mainly interested in the economic resources, and the paleontology was virtually unexplored. As a result, when a group of amateur paleontology societies sprung up here on the island, amateurs were finding all kinds of incredible fossils. As a result of that, the professional paleontologists began to realize what a treasure trove we have here on the island. Hornby Island is famous for its ammonites, and there's a great variety. The ammonites that we find on Hornby Island are from what's called the Upper Cretaceous time. That's when the dinosaurs were just about to become extinct near the end of the Cretaceous, what's called the Cretaceous time. And these shelled animals called the ammonites also become extinct about the same time. I first learned about the fossils of Vancouver Island when I was at UBC studying paleontology. I started to build up a large collection of fossils from this area. After I accumulated quite a few thousand fossils, people started up a historical society museum here. Welcome to the Vancouver Island Paleontology Museum. This is a museum that's a collaboration between the Qualicum Beach Historical Society and the Vancouver Island Paleontology Museum. And we actually have fossils here from all over the world, but we do have an extensive fossils from Vancouver Island. For example, we've got, this is a fossil fish actually from British Columbia. It's a coelacanth, a fish that they thought was extinct for about 130 million years. Lots of heteromorphic ammonites from Hornby. It's one of the incredible locations where these types of fossils are found. We have a number of different displays. Here's some more of the Vancouver Island fossils. And then we have some of the younger fossils. These are Eocene fossils. They're only about 45 million years old.
For decades, Graham Beard's role in uncovering fossils has helped piece together the past. Now, his legacy may be enshrined forever, with a new species some believe is a toothed pterosaur, to be named in Beard's honor, the Guanaraptorus beardi.
pterosaurs are flying reptiles. This is the fossil that was named after me, Guamanopterus beardi. This is a cast of the fossil, and as you can see, it was found in a fairly small concretion, and the lady that actually found it just popped it, and out popped this part of that's actually part of the upper, what's called the mandible of the pterosaur. And as you can see, there's a row of teeth here. And this really was exciting because previous to this, people thought that the toothed pterosaurs had been extinct for about 20 million years. To me, fossil collecting is not just about beautiful objects, which they are, but they're also important scientific objects. And we can learn a great deal about past ecosystems and climates, all kinds of discovery, the evolution of various life forms. It's so exciting. You go out and you're walking along and you'll pop open a rock and there'll be something totally new to science. It's the thrill of discovery. It's just, and it goes on. You never know what you're going to find when you go out fossil collecting.
Inland, many of Vancouver Island's most famous features lie hidden, just beyond the coastlines. This is Macmillan Provincial Park, home to world-famous Cathedral Grove. It is the site of 800-year-old Douglas firs. Some 9 meters in circumference, considered one of the natural wonders of Canada. But just beyond the boundaries of the park, even these trees are at risk. Nearly 3/4 of Vancouver Island's old-growth forests have been harvested. To the northwest, Comox Lake stretches more than 10 kilometers inland. Named for its proximity to the town of Comox, the word comes from the Kwakwala language meaning riches or plenty. The lake is serene, set adjacent to an ecological reserve protecting unique plant life. With a unique, eerie landscape. But many say the best part of Comox Lake is its proximity to the majestic Comox Glacier. Located 30 kilometers inland, the glacier rises nearly 2,000 meters, part of the insular mountain range. Comox Glacier also sits at the southeastern edge of Strathcona Provincial Park. A natural wonder with mountains, valleys, and frigid glacial lakes. Further north, the summit of Mount Washington lines the horizon. Named in honor of British Royal Navy hydrographer John Washington, the mountain serves as one of the region's favorite ski resorts. With snowfalls as high as 21 feet during winter months. With its proximity to the coast, the mountain is also known for its spectacular views. Visitors report clear views from the summit all the way to Powell River and Seashelt on the BC mainland. Back to the coast, the towns of Courtenay and Comox mark a return to civilization. Together, the towns are home to more than 50,000 people. And the site of CFB Comox, the main air defense installation on Canada's west coast. Established during World War II, the base is now home to fixed-wing and anti-submarine aircraft and a West Coast search and rescue fleet. "30 kilometers northwest of Courtenay and Comox, British Columbia, this is the city of Campbell River. Home to just over 30,000 people. It is the northernmost hub of civilization along this eastern coastline, with wilderness and tiny outposts beyond. A haven for early settlers, these sheltered waters offered protection and rich fishing grounds. Campbell River holds the distinction of salmon capital of the world. Offshore, the city is surrounded by some of the world's most tranquil islands. Cortes Island is home to just 1,000 residents. It's a marine landmark set in the scenic waters of Georgia Strait. To the west lies Quadra Island. At 310 square kilometers, it is the largest of the islands along this waterway. The southern end of the island is traditional First Nations land. It is a coastline steeped in history. On these beaches far below, stories and ancient mysteries have been preserved for thousands of years. Rod Burns is a cultural interpreter who works with local First Nations on Quadra.
Quadra Island's an amazing place. We're pretty close to 50 degrees north latitude, 125 west. And we're about 10-minute ferry ride from a wonderful city, Campbell River. We must give absolutely thousands of years respect to the First Nations people. Currently, the Weewakai Nation, part of the Kwakiutl, Kwakwaka'waka'waks, it's their territory. I am very, very honored they've allowed me in certain realms to speak on their behalf. And I say, Gaelic Hasla, welcome to Sakwalutin. Wow. Where I'm standing now at the tip of Quadra Island, Sakwalutin. Cape Mudge Reserve has been a native settlement for hundreds of years. Then Vancouver came here in the 1790s, Captain Vancouver and the Spanish explorers. We had a wonderful, amazing history of the gold rush coming up from California, so the 49ers, and then very critically, the green gold rush, the discovery of the value of timber. At the tip of Quadra Island, it's a mystery, an amazing mystery of petroglyphs, the rock images. There's a rock over here, it's about 2 meters in size, 1.5 meters high, and if you go close to it, you're going to find a collection of dimples and scratches that forms a face. Right in here, there's a dimple, and there's a dimple and a dimple and a dimple. They're distant between my 2 fingers, about this deep. But look at this, follow the finger, you should be able to see a shadow line. So maybe it's a hairline, okay? Look, here's some eyes. Nose, mouth, and so there's this whole face. Now, what is it? It's a representation of a human. Why is it? Below this point here, the tide would be salt water. Can you imagine somebody taking a rock and pounding and pounding and pounding to make this whole ridgeline, to make the dimples? Why? Second petroglyph, this one over here, you start looking at it, look for the shadows. And there's the faces here and coming along, the eyes and nose, the detail. It's not quite as deep as the other one, but here's some legs, here's some arms. Question again, it's here at the barnacle line. So somebody is standing now, again, up to their knees. They've got their song, their story of this person, or this image, this spirit, their brother, their sister. What would it be? What is it now? We're talking about where were we in the past? Where are we going to in the future? We've got somebody who was dedicated carver, and they were be able to have the time, the patience, pounding and pounding and pounding, saying their prayers in honesty and respect to give this representation. Then came their brother, their sister, the storyteller, the story keeper, again, to pass on to now generations and future generations. It's really interesting because the petroglyphs have been here, we're not sure, but in excess of 3,000 years. People have come and gone. Towns, village sites have lasted maybe 100 years, maybe a couple hundred years. The stone, the land, the water is still here. What a connection between time, past, and future.
Set between the open waters of the Pacific and the North American mainland, Discovery Passage is a 25-kilometer-long, spectacular waterway. Named in honor of Captain George Vancouver's 1792 arrival aboard HMS Discovery, the passage is key for navigation, allowing the transportation of essential goods to small outposts and ensuring transportation of natural resources to larger centers in the south. It is home to the Discovery Islands, Quadra Island, the Chain Islands, and Sonora Island, marking the eastern boundary of this waterway. It is part of a larger waterway, the Inside Passage, one of the world's most famous navigation routes, more than 40,000 kilometers of rugged, sheltered coastline, stretching from Alaska all the way to Washington State. While Discovery Passage is just a small stretch of this waterway, it has played a key role in maintaining this maritime highway. navigation here has not always been safe. A jagged underwater obstacle known as Ripple Rock once blocked Seymour Narrows, the narrowest portion of this channel. It would take one of the largest explosions in human history to make this waterway safe for mariners, once and for all.
Seymour Narrows is the main waterway for vessels going by Campbell River on their way to Prince Rupert in Alaska. In Seymour Narrows, it's noted for the fast rising tides and the turbulent, gaping whirlpools. In Seymour Narrows, there is a mountain under the water with steep sides, irregular shaped, and it has two pinnacles. And that was the hazard in Seymour Narrows for these ships. From British Columbia's earliest days, the rock was wrecking vessels, and a lot of lives were lost. Pretty close to 50 ships were wrecked or sunk there, and about 100 lives. Some of the vessels that went down, everyone drowned. Some just got holes ripped in them, and as people escaped, some of them would get away with their life. There was pressure put on the Canadian government to try to get rid of this hazardous rock. It was first proposed in 1931, but nothing happened till about 1943 and 1945. They planned to drill into the top of the rock from a barge that was anchored directly over the two pinnacles. Now, this project cost about $1 million, and it was not successful. And at this time is when the crew boat got caught in a whirlpool and 9 lives were lost. Nothing happened until 1955. That's when the engineers in the federal government come up with another plan. So this plan was to go to nearby Maud Island and sink a shaft, and that would be about the height of a 50-story building. And then the tunnel was driven 7,000 feet, and then they went up into the two pinnacles. The drillers were experienced hard rock miners, and they took about 2.5 years to put 1,200 feet of tunnels in the rock pinnacles. Once they had those tunnels all drilled out, they put in 1,300 tons of special high explosive. In April 1958, everything was set up, and on the day to set off the explosion, they had a special underground bunker where the television crews and officials from our Canadian government were able to watch the explosion when it went off. And it happened at 9:30 in the morning, just when the tide was right. When that explosion was set off, it was the largest man-made, non-nuclear peacetime explosion. It blew about 2 acres of rock off those twin pinnacles. It took 70 feet off the north pinnacle and 45 off the southern pinnacle. This explosion that blew off those twin peaks was a success. Now the rock is not a hazard to the marine traffic. It's not going to tear the bottom out of the boat. So I think that mariners are quite pleased that that rock got moved.
From the city of Nanaimo to Quadra Island, and the Discovery Islands beyond. Vancouver Island's eastern coastline stretches hundreds of kilometers, revealing awe-inspiring beauty. It is a shelter for seafarers, a haven for settlers, and a habitat for incredible wildlife. With ancient petroglyphs, fossils, and forests recalling an amazing past. This coastline continues to inspire. Here on the edge of Canada.